This is mine.
Let go. Let go of everything. Let go!
Thousands of enemies. You're the only one who made me forget.
I'm the top floor, smoking on dope. Feeling like two and not vision alone. Rocking out all white, feel like the Pope. Burning this bitch, I'm feeling it.
Yo, what is up, volunteer family? This is Volcor, and today we're going to be talking a little bit about good old Rick Barnes. Does he deserve the hate? He is relatively, there is a decent portion of the Tennessee fan base that does not like this man at all. Not one bit. Not at all. Am I one of those people? I guess you will have to wait and find out. This is going to be a good video, so stay tuned and let's get it. You know, the first thing I want to go to when people talk about Rick Barnes, and the first thing I want to talk about when I talk about Rick Barnes, is his March Madness records. I mean, are they good? No. Obviously, he's not really known for doing good in March. But you have to look at this. He takes almost every team he's been to, except for George Mason. He's taken them to March multiples of times. I mean, Providence, in his first year, took them to the NCAA tournament. Okay, he flipped this entire Tennessee team around and took them to the tournament in their third year. Okay, I mean, I don't know why these people continue to complain about this man when 10 years ago we were lucky to make the tournament. We make the tournament every darn year. Every single year we're in the NCAA tournament. Now, I get it. You want to see good results in March. I get that. It's really frustrating when he doesn't win in March, and it's really frustrating when teams go ice cold. But listen, Rick Barnes has elevated Tennessee's program from a bottom feeder in the SEC to a highlighting program in the nation, one of the biggest basketball brands in the nation. And you can't deny that. There's no denying that he's done that. He did it with Texas. He took Texas to a regular season championship in their first year. 1998, their first year, took them to a regular season championship. Now, he didn't take them to a national championship, like a real national championship, ever, but he did take Texas to a Final Four in 2003. He's obviously never taken Tennessee to a national championship, or a Final Four, or an Elite Eight, for that matter. But that's okay. I don't remember this, because I'm too young. But I know that for a long time, Tennessee was fighting just to make an NCAA tournament. And now we're almost guaranteed to make the tournament every year. I will take that. It's a fun brand of basketball to watch. It's a fun and enjoyable season overall. And it's good vibes. Rick Barnes is a genuine Hall of Fame coach. And I don't understand anybody who says that he should be fired or kicked out. It's absolutely ridiculous. Just flat out stupid. I mean, if you look at the history of Tennessee and the history of this basketball program, if before Rick Barnes, you had, I'm not 100% sure how to say this name, Cuonzo Martin, I think, only made it once. Bruce Pearl did make it a lot, but then he got, fired for cheating. And then Buzz Peterson never made it. Kevin O'Neal never made it. Wade Houston never made it. Don DeVoe didn't make it for his last 5 years at Tennessee. Ray Mears only made it twice in about 100 years at Tennessee. Emmett Lowry, never made it. John Maurer, never made it. Blair Gullion, never made it. W.H. Britton, never made it. Mark Banks, never made it. Zora Clevenger, never made it. R.H. Fitzgerald, never made it. You get my point. You get my point. This program was nothing before Rick Barnes. Bruce Pearl never won anything in the NCAA tournament either. And I don't hear about how bad of a coach he was. I don't hear how bad of a coach any of these people were. I've never heard any Tennessee fans talk about how bad those coaches were. But for some reason, when it comes to Rick Barnes, it's, oh, he never wins in March. Oh, his team can't shoot. He's a terrible coach. We should fire him. Like, be quiet. Hush. Be quiet. If we got somebody else, I guarantee you we would do the same stuff. Because it is like gold. It's like striking gold trying to find a good coach in college basketball. It is. It's like striking gold. And we struck gold with Rick Barnes for the most part. He's a solid coach. I don't know why it's so hard to get that through you people's heads. He's a good coach. Yeah, he may not win in March all the time. I mean, last year he didn't have a point guard and he made the Sweet 16. That was a pretty good coaching performance, but I don't hear anybody talking about that. I mean, you Barnstormers are going off the rails. And it's really crazy. It's honestly amazing to watch the excuses that you guys make up to say that Rick Barnes is a bad head coach. And all of them is a bunch of baloney. None of it actually makes any sense. None of it. I don't hear them talking about how he is like 15-5 against ranked opponents at home. I don't hear anybody talking about that. Like, it's just garbage. A bunch of garbage. Another thing I want to talk about. What is it with Rick Barnes and brick problems? Why does every team he's had shoot so many bricks and miss so many shots when they have to make shots? Reason number one, I think that's the case, is because he coaches his teams very tough and physical defensively. And it's very hard to shoot accurately when you're worn up and beat down because you're playing such hard defense. Naturally, they're at a disadvantage because of how hard of the defense they play. You know, the rest of it I can't really explain. That's the only reason I really got for these brick problems. I mean, it really is bad sometimes to watch how, like, these teams, these Rick Barnes-led teams can't shoot. Like, just literally can't shoot, can't freak. Like, for example, there's some times where if somebody shot the basketball out of a boat, it wouldn't hit the water. It's miserable sometimes. But I do think the leading cause of that is because how physical they play on the defensive end of the ball. And that automatically does put them at a disadvantage. And it really is annoying to watch these teams, you know, miss these shots and miss these easy shots at that. Especially, like, for example, the Ole Miss game, the most recent game. There was a lot of open shots that we missed. That game would have been won 100-60 or whatever it was, 100-56, if it weren't for us just missing open shots completely. So I don't really get. I can see both sides of the argument, right? I understand if you're upset at Rick Barnes for, you know, not performing well in March. I understand that. That's a very valid criticism. My problem is when you start reaching and saying, oh, well, he's never really won anything, and he's never done this, and he won an SEC championship 2 years ago. Is that not good enough? So I think there's a line where it goes from fair criticism, like, well, for example, his teams have trouble shooting, and he has trouble calling timeouts when teams go on long runs, and he never does well in March. Like, that's fair criticism. But when you start throwing things in there like, he's a terrible coach, he'll never win anything ever, he ruins his players, Dalton Connects has already been ruined, he's already messed Dalton, like, that, just be quiet. Just shut up. It's the most annoying thing I've ever heard. The Barnstormers are getting out of control, and they need to be stopped. He will go down in Tennessee basketball history as one of the best coaches to ever coach. So please, for the love of all things holy, be quiet and stop reaching for things that don't exist. Rick Barnes is not as bad as a lot of people make him out to be. Now, listen. Could he be better in March? Yes. Could he be a better coach? Is he an elite coach? No. Is he a great coach? Yes. Will he ever be an elite coach? Probably not. But I'm fine with living that. Because I really, truly do think he will get us to a Final Four at some point. I truly do. I would prove me wrong, but I don't know what to tell you guys. I mean, I just think it's getting, every year it gets more and more out of hand, and it gets worse. Like, I would say now, probably 10 or 20% of the fan base, if not more, wants Rick Barnes going. And it's really annoying to hear. It's the most annoying thing I've ever heard in my life. I get fair criticism. I criticize him all the time. I always criticize him with his, like I said earlier, the ability to have his teams not shoot and shoot under 30%. The ability to not call a timeout when teams go on runs. The ability to coach his players too hard. And sometimes, so it's really it's when you pass that line from fair criticism to just reaching that pisses me off. So, that's all I got for today. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. This is Vol Core signing off. And just remember, Rick Barnes is a great coach. And the Barnstormers need to be especially quiet. Because when he makes the Final Four this March, they will be quiet as crickets.